Hello, you lovely cups. It's the Dragon Lord here, bringing you a new What If. Now, I've been thinking of creating this new What If, and it's gonna be what if Naofumi was the reincarnation of Indura and Ashura. And I'm gonna have to cover a bit before I start, so I will be doing that. But before I get on with the video, quick plug: Discord link in the description. That's it. I'd like to say that the Discord is open, and that you can enter it via the link down below. That's all there is really to it. But with that out of the way, let's get started. Now Fumi would be born with what the doctors would call a weird eye disease. That would just make his eyes look weird and purplish, with some lines in it. Now, we of course know that this is the Rinnegan, so why I'm giving Naofumi the Rinnegan is because he is both of them combined. So he's basically the Sage of Six Paths, but he has to unlock the abilities, but he's born with the Rinnegan, since it's like a dojutsu, and I felt like I want to give it to him. Now, Naofumi would be treasured by his parents as a very special child, as he would study for like only 10 minutes a day, but be smarter than his teachers, as he would also start showing massive physical feats at the age of around 10, and he would even start his own company and give his family a life of luxury. Now, he would do that way later than 10. As he would fall into a kind of pit of depravity, as his parents would call it, when he would start watching anime and playing video games. Basically becoming an otaku, to be honest. They would cut ties with him and focus more on his younger brother. Now, Naofumi would still help his younger brother out by introducing him to the otaku lifestyle. He would be able to make deals and always get the winning end of the deal, but he would still be a kind-hearted person, as he would donate a lot of his earnings to charity, as well as helping people out when they needed it. So, a lot got mentioned here, but Naofumi already has a few abilities that he got before entering the world. First of all, Naofumi can learn quicker. Naofumi has way better eyesight. He has a kind of persuasion skill. I don't know how to say that word. So when he's talking, he can always get a deal. Like, for example, if someone would be talking with me and I'm like, hey, I've got £10. I said pound. I've got 10 euros. I know that's 20 euros. Can I scale it down to 10? And then I would persuade them, and then they would be like, all right, fine. Kind of like that. He would become quite popular, and he would end up having to buy the library so he could read in peace, because, you know, everybody in the world knows him. And then one day, while browsing through some books, he accidentally makes some book fall over it, and he's like, what? While picking them up, he notices a red book that he picks up, and he starts reading. The book is titled The Four Cardinal Heroes. And now Fumi skims through it a bit, reading about the four cardinal heroes being, of course, the spear, the bow, the sword, and the shield. He would even call the princess in the book kinda bitchy. Looking as he would as he would go on, at one point the pages would be blank, as the book would start flipping pages very fast, until Naofumi is in the white room, where he sees an old man sitting. He approaches the old man, who introduces himself. My name is Haguromo Utsutsuki. Welcome, my child. As Naofumi would be like, what the heck? Haguromo would explain that Naofumi is a reincarnation of both of his sons, Indura and Ashura. As Naofumi would get even more confused, the old man who we know as Haguromo explains everything about Naofumi's eyes, as Naofumi asks, where are we? And Haguromo answers with, we are inside a realm that I created to talk with my descendants. But you won't be here for long. You somehow got transported to another world, and in that world there is a massive amount of chakra, what they call magic. It's for that reason that you are here at the moment. You got transported into that world, time froze, and your real abilities awoke the moment your real abilities awoke. As he explains that millions of years ago, the earth would be rich in chakra, But after a tragic event, it's been forgotten, and now the world that Naofumi comes from hardly has any. As Hagoromo explains that a long time ago, there was a boy named Naruto and another boy named Sasuke who fought as the reincarnations of Indura and Ashura, but they ended up becoming friends and used their power to save the world. Hagoromo then explains that over the centuries, prophecy children have been born, and these children being the combination of both Indra and Ashura, basically having Sage of Six Path powers. As Hagoromo tells Naofumi that he will enlighten Naofumi of all his abilities, and awaken his true power. As he tells Naofumi to get close, Naofumi does, and Hagoromo puts his hand on Naofumi's head, which makes Naofumi see everything that happened with Naruto and all of that. After this, Naofumi basically knows everything and all of the chakra natures, as well as yin and yang release. He gets all the Rinnegan abilities, but they will be locked for the moment. And he also gets the Susanoo and other stuff. And if you ask me why he gets the Susanoo, he is the reincarnation of Indra and Ashura, and thus he can use Indra's Susanoo. He also gets the Truth Seeker balls, orbs, whatever you want to call them, and stuff like that. But since he has never actually used any of these abilities, he hesitates on using them, thus leaving him with the Rinnegan abilities, but I will cover that in a second, why he can't use all of them yet. Hagoromo tells Naofumi goodbye as Naofumi falls asleep in the White Realm, kind of passing out. Now, I'm gonna quit here for a second before I get back. I'm gonna, like I said, seal these abilities away for the time being, seeing that Naofumi's only level 1. So basically he has abilities, but because he got transported to another world, these high level abilities, they got sealed, kind of like his shields. So think of it like that. But he does get some very OP equip bonuses right from the start, because his Rinnegan and other stuff, but more on that later. Actually not. The Rinnegan and other stuff is gonna have equip bonuses. So he's gonna have a Rinnegan, and well, of course he's gonna have a Rinnegan, but it's gonna have an equip bonus. So the equip bonuses, I'm gonna have to list all of them over time, but I'll just say he gains XP way faster, and it's already very OP for him. And if I did not seal away a lot of his abilities, it would be way more OP, because he's gonna get equip bonuses after a while, and he's gonna even be able to upgrade the Rinnegan to something that we don't know yet. Even I don't know yet. It's a secret. But what I want to say, he's gonna be OP, but I've tried to seal as many of his abilities away as I can, but he's still OP, so that's it. Naofumi would wake up in a magic circle, confused on what's happening. He stands up as the priest asks him to save their world. Naofumi and some other voices at the same time say, "What?" as he looks at them confused. Now he would notice the shield that's glued to his right arm as he looks on confused. The priest calls them brave heroes as they explain that their world is in danger and that they need their help. Naofumi, being the kind man he is, says, "I guess I can hear you out," but the others refuse, saying that they have no right to ask anything of them since they just summoned them without consent, which is kind of retarded. And stuff like that. And even if they'd help, there is no guarantee that they wouldn't just kick them out afterwards, as they demand rewards and so on and so on. They leave, and while climbing a tower, Naofumi looks out in the window, stating that this world feels like a video game, as they end up in front of the king. And the king asks everyone's name besides Naofumi, but unlike in canon, Naofumi doesn't care. But this makes Ren stop the king and ask him why he didn't ask Naofumi's name, as the king apologizes for his insolence and asks Naofumi's name. He sees Naofumi's eyes, and it kind of shocked as Naofumi introduces himself. They just move on, and the king explains that each country has an hourglass that will tell the arrival of the waves, He also explains that in an act of foolishness, they thought that they could beat the first wave no problem, but they were wrong, and that's why they summoned the heroes. Anyway, the king asked them to open their statuses, and Naofumi questions them about the statuses. They tell them that it's a unique magic given to the heroes. As Ren tells them to focus on the bottom right of their vision, as they do, Naofumi opens his status. As he reads in his mind out, Shield Hero, level 1. Equipment, small shield, defense of 3, otherworldly clothes, and Eyes of God with skills tab attached to it. This catches the attention of basically Naofumi. And Naofumi continues onward in his skills tab as he opens it, reading out. But he reads it out loud by accident. He reads out fire, wind, earth, water, lightning, dark, light, all maxed out. Yin and yang will be similar to dark and light, but the actual yin and yang are subcategories. So he sees a shield tree, and he sees a shield called Rinne shield. Now it's locked. And he continues, but he says it out loud by accident, because he's kind of like dumb like that. And it says MP magic points 10,000, HP 600, attack 60, agility 70, defense 100, with 60 in physical defense and 40 in magical defense. His overall defense goes up tenfold. His magic sits at a whopping 3,000, and his dexterity being at 300, and an SP of 5. Now, a lot of Naofumi's stats would get boosted because of the Rinnegan, and his MP would really skyrocket. This would, of course, make the other heroes jealous, who knock it off as just being bonus stats for the shield. Now, the king is like, what the? Because he's like, how can the shield hero get all of these stats right off the bat? And Naofumi didn't say Eyes of God out loud, but he did say the other stuff out loud by accident. But if he would say Eyes of God out loud, then the king would have been really shocked, but he didn't yet. So it's not revealed yet. Get calm. They get escorted to their rooms to eat. After they are done eating, Naofumi brings up the fact that this all kind of looks like a video game. Moroyasu says that this world looks like Emerald Online, which has Itsuki tell him that it resembles a console game called Dimension Web, which has Ren point out that it's a VR MMO called Brave Star Online, which has Moroyasu ask if others know what he means by VR MMO, but Naofumi says that the only game he has really played that resemble and like I mean I've messed up, sorry. He mentions that the only thing he knows of a VR MMO is that he read it in a manga, and the others discuss about it. Now Naofumi says that the only game he has really played that resembles this world at all is Skyrim. Yes, I'm having Naofumi be from our world, and Skyrim is the only real game I could think of with some of the same effects as the Rising of the Shield Heroes world. They exchange general knowledge and figure out that they are from parallel Japans. They go to bed and get escorted to the king's throne the next day, where they see a few people lined up as the king says, "These are the finest adventurers we have, and they will assist you in your future battles." They choose their, well, they don't choose their parties, but no one joins Naofumi's party. But Naofumi is fine with it, but this makes Ren question why. As the king says, apparently there has been a rumor going around that the shield hero has no knowledge of this world. Now Naofumi realizes instantly what happened and decides to keep his guard up around the nobles. Now one girl would put her hand up, this of course being mine, as she would join the shield hero's party. Of course Naofumi get his 800 silver, with the other heroes getting their 600, 500, I don't know. Now mine would introduce herself, and Naofumi would do the same, as he calls her mine and she calls him Sir Hero. He tells her to just call him Naofumi, as he also decides that the first thing they should do is get some equipment. As Naofumi gets introduced to the weaponsmith, Arnhart, Mine tells him that they have about 250 silver budget. As Naofumi tries to pick up a sword, it says legendary weapon restriction, holding non-assigned weapon. Naofumi asks to see some of the blacksmith's best shields, because he can maybe use shields, and he maybe wants a better shield than what he has now. As he picks one up, and his own shield transforms into that shield, as Naofumi says, "What the?" Now, this of course pisses the blacksmith off, but Naofumi says, "How much for me to make a copy of all your shields?" As Naofumi sees the pop-up from the shield copy system, and it adds up to his overall defense. As blacksmith says, "Around 250 silver, but mine uses are charms," and the blacksmith says, "Fine, 100 silvers." As Naofumi copies all the shields, this of course greatly increases his overall defense. Now the blacksmith would give Naofumi the chainmail armor, but after hearing about the buyback price, Naofumi asks if he could get something else, something that he could upgrade down the line so he wouldn't have to buy and sell the armor constantly. This makes the blacksmith think, and they make the bandit armor that Naofumi has in the series. It's the one with the plate mail on it. As the blacksmith tells him that he can upgrade it with other materials, Naofumi likes it and decides to buy it for 200 silvers, with also a lot with all of Mine's gear. If you haven't been paying attention, Naofumi still has 500 silvers left over. They go out to the field, and Naofumi easily beats the orange balloons, since he actually has attack power. He gains about 4 levels before Mine calls it a day. They head back, and Mine wants to go buy some new gear, and picks out some very expensive gear. Now the blacksmith says, "Oh, did you not get told? Naofumi already bought you custom-made gear," as she gets the same gear in canon, but it's a bit stronger. And now the blacksmith would tell Naofumi that he would still need to pay up 100 extra silvers. Now somehow Naofumi uses his powers of his Rinnegan to persuade the blacksmith to sell it for the price of 200 silver, which still leaves them at the 500 silvers. They go to an inn, and after dinner, Naofumi tells Mine that he is gonna step out for a bit and explore somewhere. As she tells him that she will go to bed, Naofumi leaves, and he arrives at the gate where he sees Itsuki and Ren talking to each other. It's about 10 o'clock right now. He waves to them and they approach him. They talk to Ren and asks where Mine is, and Naofumi tells him that she's in an inn and that she's probably asleep already. Ren asks what Naofumi is gonna do this late, as he tells them that he's going to go grind in the night on some stronger monsters to get XP faster. As he leaves them now, Naofumi would stay up all night farming, and would test his Rinnegan abilities for the ones he has, as well as collect materials to feed to his shield to unlock new shields. Now, before I continue, Naofumi has the Shinra Tensei, and the other one, I forgot the name, but where he can send them away and where he can pull them. He has the what's it called? I forgot. He can create those chakra rods, and he has a lot of other abilities, but he doesn't really have any of the other real paths yet. For example, I think it's the Preda path, the one with the guns and stuff. I'm not gonna give that to him till way late, because that path is overpowered, and I don't want to give it to Naofumi yet, because, you know, it's kind of OP. I want to give it to him when he's later down the line, maybe even when we're in the manga stuff, so that's it. Anyway, it's about morning, and Ren and his party are farming. When Ren stops gaining XP, he sees a tired Naofumi heading his way. As he asks Naofumi if he's been training all night, as Naofumi says, "Yes, I hit level 24. There's a very good leveling spot up ahead." Now Ren would ask for the specific location, but Naofumi would tell him he could mark it on a map, but that Mine has their map. As Ren and his party join Naofumi on his way to the inn, at the inn, Naofumi still gets arrested and brought to the throne room, with Ren following. As Naofumi would ask what the hell is going on, as the king would say, "Mine, go ahead and tell us what he did to you." As Mine says, "The shield hero came in yesterday, around 10 o'clock. That drunk as he forced his way with me. The moment Mine says this, Naofumi, Ren, and Itsuki say, "What a load of crap!" As Naofumi explains that he went out hunting, and Ren and Itsuki actually back this up because they met him at the gate at 10 o'clock. With Ren even further backing it up, saying, "Yeah, and this morning I found him farming, and he's dead tired, just look at his eyes." As they look at his eyes, they see the massive walls under his eyes. Now, Motoyasu would still accuse Naofumi, but that's because he's a big idiot. But after thinking about it, he realizes that Naofumi wouldn't do that. As Naofumi asks if there is a magic or a monster that could turn a person into something else. As he asks this, an adventurer in Ren's party says, there's no such monster that exists like that. As Naofumi realizes that Mine is trying to get him framed, he tells his thoughts to the entire throne room, but the king says, "Ridiculous!" But Naofumi would realize that he is lying too, because another skill that he unlocked while he was farming was to see if people were lying. Now I'm gonna change up a few skills, for example, as I did in the Luffy what if. Normally he can rip out a person's soul, that's one of the Rinnegan's abilities, and you could take all their info. And you can also use the King of Hell to see if people are lying. Now Naofumi can just look into a person's soul, use a genjutsu, and know all of the information they have. Kind of like that, and he can also just, what's it called? Thinking of the name. Like, see if people are lying. He doesn't have to summon the King of Hell. He approaches Mine, who is faking her scaredness, as Naofumi makes a hand sign and a massive monster appears behind him, out of nowhere. Now, Naofumi is kind of mad, and his eye, like one of his eyes is kind of red, and if you would see Naofumi's perspective, his level and stuff would be kind of glitching. And Naofumi in a kind of demon voice says, "This is the King of Hell. If you ask a question, you have to answer truthfully, or you will rip out your tongue and you will die. Refuse to answer the question and you will still die." As the King of Hell grabs Mine's tongue, Naofumi asks, "Did you or did you not lie about the entire thing?" As Mine answers, "I did." The King of Hell does not rip out her tongue, and this shocks everyone in the throne room as the king yells out, "Ridiculous! Who would ever believe such lies?" As Naofumi grabs Motoyasu and asks him if he would still help the kingdom even if they didn't give him a reward or if they would kick him out afterwards. As Motoyasu says yes, of course, the King of Hell would rip out his tongue, killing him. But it wouldn't really kill him, because Naofumi would throw him into the King of Hell's mouth and he would come out revived. Now, using the King of Hell's ability to return Motoyasu's soul, that's kind of it. Now, Naofumi wouldn't die, because, you know, normally when you do Rinne Rebirth or anything like that, you would die, but he would have a lot of mana used to revive/heal Motoyasu. As the king and everyone in the throne room looks kind of shocked, as it's revealed that Mine did in fact set everything up under the king's orders. Naofumi would look at Mine with hateful eyes, and in an attempt to divert his anger, the king would reveal that it was all his plan and that Mine was forced to do it. After all, she is his daughter. This pisses Naofumi off, who tells the king and his kingdom to burn for all he cares. As he leaves, now Mine would stop Naofumi and apologize, and that she actually felt something for Naofumi. Unlike in canon, Mine loves Naofumi instead of Motoyasu. Ever since birth, she's loved demi-humans and all of those nice animals that are half human. And because of that, she met the shield hero, and reading all of the heroic tales that the demi-humans made, she really came to adore the shield hero. And her father, just instead of her corrupting her father over time, he just corrupted himself over time. It's not because of her. And she just loves the shield hero, and that's why she's a big fan of Naofumi. I'm gonna continue on with that later on. Naofumi would tell her to piss off because he's still mad, and she would still love Naofumi and feel sorry for what she did, but she would join Moriyasu's party since she really doesn't have a choice. Now, Naofumi would still be called a rapist for like a week until the king reveals that he isn't and that it was a misunderstanding. In this week, Naofumi would level up solo until he hit 36. He would then learn more about the shield and its abilities, and as he does, these guys come up to him while he's sitting in an inn, asking to join his party, and he tells them to go outside. They follow him and ask him to buy gear, as Naofumi says, buy your own gear. This pisses them off as they try to attack Naofumi. Now, Naofumi would just summon the massive dog, and this would scare them away. The slave trader would of course still approach Naofumi. Now, with the massive dog, I mean like massive, I'm in like building massive, not bigger than that, because in Naruto it's like way bigger than like a house from like the inn from Rising of the Shield Hero, but the dog will be as big as the inn because it costs a lot of mana to summon, and Naofumi just makes a small one because he can't summon the big version yet, so it's kind of like the son of that dog. Now, Naofumi would still get approached by the slave trader and would still buy Raphtalia. Unlike in canon, they bond way quicker, and because of his guidance, she levels up insanely quick, hitting 20 before going to the mines. She also respects Naofumi way more and doesn't have a problem with killing monsters, even if they bleed. For Naofumi, they end up going to the mines at a nearby village where Raphtalia gets PTSD because of the two-headed dog. But together with Naofumi, she overcomes her fear and they end up with a lot of new stuff. A week or so goes by and Naofumi helps Raphtalia level up since he's already maxed out. Well, not maxed out, but he's already hit like 46. Raphtalia gets to level 36 in that week's time as they decide to upgrade their equipment. They visit the blacksmith, who gives Raphtalia a magic sword for a discount. Naofumi still sees Raphtalia as a kid with the entire lunch thing, but he does see her as a friend. Naofumi gets a slight armor upgrade, but nothing too big. He just upgrades some of the minerals on the outside. They hear about the hourglass and Naofumi decides to go check it out. They arrive at the church, and this is when Naofumi realizes that it counts down. The other heroes appear, and of course Naofumi has a better look towards Moriyasu in mind. He leaves together with Raphtalia. Moriyasu wouldn't flirt with Raphtalia, and the others wouldn't tell him to stay out of their way. Mine would even be jealous of Raphtalia, seeing in this what if Mine isn't like how she's in canon. She actually doesn't hate demi-humans and all of that. I already said that. She feels attracted to the shield hero, and the king is still the same though, but he did admit that he was wrong. So Naofumi doesn't really have anything right now, but for that week time he really got berated, so that's why. The wave ends up starting and they get teleported to Ryut village, or Loot village, but I'm gonna call it Ryut village because that's how I read it in the manga. This is where the entire mining trip happened. They decide to go and help the villagers, and Naofumi questions why it's taking so long. He sends a shadow clone, yeah, he learned shadow clone, over and asks them what's happening. Now before I continue, magic and hand seals, hand signs and stuff like that, they're different. So Naofumi can use hand signs and he can use magic themselves. So if he goes like, as shield hero I order thee, he can do that, or he can do hand signs, but he can also combine the two to make them stronger. So that's just what I wanted to see. So he sends the shadow clone over. As the three heroes are taking their time, Naofumi's shadow clone would blitz the monster with the combination of Rasengan and lightning element. So he would have a Chidori Rasengan to destroy the monster. Basically a Chidori Rasengan, like I said. The wave would end, and the shadow clone would go back to Naofumi to assist in taking down the rest of the monsters. Now Naofumi would go to the banquet, but wouldn't eat anything. He would really only be there for the reward. Now Mine would stop conspiring against Naofumi and would just be a normal party member in Moriyasu's party. But under the king's orders, one of Moriyasu's party members would tell him that Raphtalia is the shield hero's slave. This would rub Moriyasu in the wrong way, as he would challenge Naofumi to a duel. If you want to know what happens, you'll have to wait till next time. Now, why? So I'm gonna have the king have like another person that does his order stuff, so that if if Naofumi does anything and is supposed to be bad, then this person is kind of like mine in the show, but it's not mine in the show. She will have a name later on down the line, but for the moment she doesn't. And before I quit, I also want to say the Biju are gonna be a thing, but they're gonna be special. See, Naofumi already has Sage of Six Path powers, so if he meets any of the Biju, they're gonna be friendly with him. But the Biju are kind of like these gods that get like admired by the demi-humans and stuff like that, and they help out protecting the world, since the Biju are way stronger than anything. Like, if you take Kurama can take on all 8 of the other Bijus, and I'm pretty sure that Shukaku is way stronger than the current Filial Queen, so I mean, that's pretty obvious. So, yeah. Well, one more thing. I want to do this series on a like goal basis. So, I don't know, let's say 10 likes and I'll do part 2. And with that out the way, I see no other problem. Discord link in the link down below. So, if we hit 10 likes and the people vote for it in the Discord, then I'll upload it. Not 10 likes, no vote, no upload. 10 likes, no vote, no upload. Pretty self-explanatory. I will, if it hits 10 likes and it doesn't get voted, but I already have the footage, I will just upload it randomly, because I like this series, I like where it's going. It's going to be really interesting the moment we get to Calmeria, and where we meet Lark and the others, so kind of like that. I will continue the series after that, so I will continue with manga spoilers, so be warned. But with that out of the way, join the Discord, it's gonna be a blast. That's kind of it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.